Guys, we woke up this morning to the horrific news of the murders of police officers in Dallas. 11 police officers shot, 5 have lost their lives in an ambush sniper-style attack. Now, we've got Team Chaser coverage about how this impacts our local law enforcement. Ashley, you have been chasing the Camden County Police Department, which has really turned around a very, very dangerous city of Camden. And I want to check in with you, but first I want to start with Sibile, who is in Essex County. You tracked down the sheriff and how the Essex County Sheriff's Department is dealing with this horrific news and how they are taking steps to prevent something like this from happening here. What do you got, Sibile?
I'm right outside the Office of Emergency Management. Sheriff Armando Fontoura gathered about 300 officers here in light of the assassination of 5 police officers in Dallas, Texas.
Tragic events in Dallas shouldn't have any impact on what we do. We still have to get out there and make sure that we keep our community safe, including the protests. We know we have a great relationship with the people that protest here in Essex County. Okay, I want all of you just go back out there, do your job, keep the community safe, and above all, keep yourselves safe.
When I walked into the Emergency Operations Center, the mood was very somber. I was right by the dispatch officer as she was coordinating with officers in the field. I spoke to the sheriff about the situation nationally and how it's been impacting here.
This is the worst tragic event for law enforcement since 9/11. You know, 2 cops were executed in New York a year and a half ago, whenever that was, and that in itself was very traumatic, but this just brings all that trauma back.
He believes that the protests are still necessary. In fact, he said that looking at the video in Louisiana, he actually agrees and understands why people are outraged.
People are going to continue to protest. It's not going to stop it. Your job is to make sure that you're there and make sure that they're able to protest peacefully, escort them, bring them back, and make sure nobody gets hurt.
But at the same time, he obviously wants his police officers to be safe.
I think that we get complacent. Again, that human factor. You know, we all get complacent. After a while, it's routine. You know, we do this 2 or 3 times a month. We'll escort them down. These are nice folks. You know, that's fine. But understand that there could be 1 or 2, like in Dallas, who have a different motivation, and they want to take advantage of that situation to do harm to you or to members of that protest.
So they're obviously going to keep going out, keep working with the community, but it's a very challenging time for them.
Well, you know, I think the sheriff should have taken a little more time to prepare for his conversation with you. It sounds to me a little bit out of touch to say the word complacent. You know, it's not necessarily, this is not a riot that got out of control from all the reports that we've heard. This was an assassination with snipers who were triangulating fire and cornered these cops and took out 11 police officers, killing 5. I don't know that it had anything to do with the protest at all. So, you know, I think he's jumping to a bit of a conclusion.
They can deal with a situation like what we saw in Dallas if they are prepared. So what the sheriff was saying is for future protests, not to clamp down on them, but for police officers to be on guard, to watch their backs.
Yeah, I don't think anybody anticipated a sniper-style attack on police officers during a Black Lives Matter protest. Ashley.
Camden County Police Chief ScottThomson wasn't around today, but he released a statement saying Dallas Police Chief David Brown is a friend and colleague, and that his heart goes out to the victims' families. He also went on to say the sacrifice and heroism displayed by Dallas police officers was extremely remarkable as they rushed towards hell-bent sociopaths that were firing assault rifles on downtown city streets. Although this is the deadliest incident in American policing since 9/11, their courage and grace under fire saved many, many lives, both civilian and sworn officers. Now, I've spent some good time with Camden County Police going on ride-alongs, and they seem to be getting it right. Chief Thomson says since the county police took over patrolling Camden in 2013, they've decreased the murder rate by 52% and also violent crimes by more than a quarter. I said, you know, how do you maintain law and order in one of the nation's murder capitals without killing people? And he says he takes pride in the good relationship that police officers have established with the community.
The things that count most can't always be counted. Is the ability that we've been able to establish such a strong and better relationship with our community. And we did this by having officers walking the beat by riding bicycles, really community policing at its heart. You know, there's no way that you're going to build trust and build a relationship without human contact.
And I asked him, you know, if you could nail it down, what's one of the things you're most proud of?
The best is seeing little kids ride their bicycles in front of their homes. You know, there were points in time where in some areas in the city that parents would not let their children out front of their homes. Parents would not walk to the corner store to get a gallon of milk, and that shouldn't be that way.
We've met with him on a number of occasions. Yeah. He is a good guy. Chief Thomson gets it. You know, his police department doesn't look the other way. They are in the neighborhood. They know what's going on every block.
In Trenton, I was at a meeting one time back when I was a newspaper reporter, and a neighbor comes in and says, I saw a police car. That police car was just sitting on the block, doing nothing for 30 minutes, sitting on the block. Police director says, okay, I'll look into it. I talked to my friend, the head of the police union. He said they were eating lunch. They were on their lunch break. They're allowed to have a lunch break. Those communications aren't happening.
That's interesting.
You need to have that interaction because the streets and the police often speak different languages, and you need a translation.
Something that struck me about what Sibile said is that the officers weren't prepared in Dallas, and what I think what was meant by that is that they didn't look like they were prepared for war. And you look at what happened in Baltimore, and you look at those pictures, and it almost looks as if we're fighting ISIS.
Yeah.
And that's what the reality is setting in, and you just have to wonder what is happening.